Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshack if you want to call me by my in-game name. And our second deck guide this month with the new expansion is going to be Jade Golem Druid, a very popular, very powerful deck found on ladder right now. For those of you who are unfamiliar with how we do our deck guides, we talk about the decks, the inner working to the deck, the synergies, why I have what I have in here, the 2-ofs, the 1-ofs, we explain all the cards, and then from there we head into the ranked games where we play the deck against classes and we explain the matchups, the synergies, and maybe some occurrences that we wouldn't normally see just by solely looking at the deck list here. And we find ourselves in some situations where we can really learn about the deck's strengths and weaknesses, and we can expand on that during the matches. But for starters, we'll talk about the deck list. Keep in mind that the deck list is very prone to what the meta is looking like. Right now, there's a lot of aggro Shaman and a lot of aggro Warrior. With that in mind, the Ooze is a tech choice, along with the second-rate Bruiser. These are cards that normally would not be in this deck, but because of what I continuously find myself going against in the opponents that I play, these are going to be cards that are, again, situational teching cards that I'm finding are really powerful right now, but maybe not so powerful in the overall aspect of, you know, when the meta slows down and we go against more control-based decks. So just keep that in mind. This isn't like the deck to play. You can change a couple cards here and there based on, of course, what you find yourself playing against. So, without further ado, looking at the innervates as the first cards in the list, of course, we're playing 2 of these bad boys. You'll find innervates in almost every single Druid deck. The Druid consistently and always loves to cheat mana. This is a deck that says, you know what, turn 1, turn 2, doesn't matter. I could be at 5, 6, even 7 mana sometimes based on your opening hand. So the double innervate allows you to cheat mana and play larger threats earlier on, or it allows you to combo things with Auctioneer, or cards that you normally wouldn't be able to play in the same turn. The Jade Idol is going to be your never-ending, relentless assault of Jade Golems. Early on in the game, you're going to most likely use your first copy of this card to summon the Jade Golem, but later on in the game, if you find yourself playing against a control-based class, you're going to shuffle 3 more copies of this in your deck, drop the Fandral, drop the Auctioneer, combo a bunch of these in the same turns, put a bunch of them in your deck, draw a bunch of cards, and this is a huge combo card in combination with Fandral or Auctioneer later on in a game versus a control matchup, which I hopefully will play when we get into our matches. But if not, you guys can understand that this is how you win late game. This particular card is how you win late game against other control decks or even other Jade Golem decks, because they don't have the ability to keep creating Jade Golems and shuffling. You will never fatigue with this card. It's impossible. You just keep putting cards in your deck and keep summoning Jade Golems. But never use this card against an aggressive matchup to shuffle. Always turn it into the creature. Living Roots is your early game removal. A lot of times you'll find that the 2/1/1 Roots that it brings out are very powerful against Pirate Warrior early on in the game, and it's pretty annoying for them to deal with because they have to trade, and they don't like trading. They just want to go face. So this gives them not the best options. Raven Idol is your choose one ability with cards like Fandral in the deck. Nourish, Raven Idol, Wrath, Feral Rage become very powerful, and on top of that, the card's good on its own, right? You can play this. Normally you go for spells, never really minions unless you're really looking for a particular creature, or just Yogg is your only way out. Then I guess you can discover a minion, but normally it's a spell, and it can get you out of tight situations. It gets you Wild Growth, Jade Blossoms, Healing Spell, Feral Rages, single target removal like Mulch. Very powerful card if used appropriately, and yeah, good card. Ooze, like we said, Tekken, a lot of warriors, a lot of shamans. They like weapons. Ooze says, I like your weapon too, and I'm going to make it mine. Well, actually, it doesn't make it his. He just kills it. So I guess he just makes it no more. So definitely a Tekken card. Very powerful right now. Wrath, this is again some of your early game removal. It combos well with Azure Drake, increased spell power, so you can deal 2 damage to a creature and draw a card, or just deal 4 damage to a creature and kill it. Unfortunately, you don't draw a card with that option, but you deal more damage. It only costs 2 mana, and very powerful card. It allows you to kill Tunnel Trogs. It allows you to kill Totem Golems with Azure Drake out, and a staple in any Druid deck. The Feral Rage, a lot of people are running 1. A lot of people run 2. I'm finding 2 is very powerful right now due to the fact that there's a lot of 4 HP minions out there, whether they're Frothing Berserker, Totem Golem, Blackwing Corruptor, the Priest, the 2-drop, 2/4 with Taunt. There's just a lot of really good 4 HP minions to kill, and this kills the minions, or it generates 8 armor, or if you have Fandral, it does both. So it's kind of too good right now not to play 2 of them, but maybe once the meta slows down or we don't see as much warrior or shaman, then you could replace this, because the 4 attack doesn't mean as much because there's not as many 4 HP creatures. But right now, I just find that every time this card's in my hand, it gets played and it's very useful. Jade Blossoms is the replacement for Wild Growth in this particular deck. A lot of people are running Jade Blossom, or 1 Jade Blossom and then 2 Wild Growths. That's also a great combination of cards. I've chosen the different route of no Wild Growth and just Jade Blossom. So it's kind of just like of course, like more of a deck choice, and it seemed to be working out for me pretty well. The Fandral, of course, Druid legendary. The card is broken if it sits on the field for longer than 2 or 3 turns, and you can combo either Nourish, Wrath, Feral Rage, Raven Idol into Raven Idol into Raven Idol Inception. You've got yourself an A Lamau kind of game where you can broke back yourself to victory. So it's definitely it's not a staple. You don't have to have him in the deck, but just having him there, whether or not you can combo him with your choose one abilities or not, he's so very powerful if you can pull those off. So it's kind of just like, why wouldn't you have him in a deck? If he sits on the field, a lot of times it gives you like a huge win percentage increase over your opponent. The 1 Jade Spirit is interesting, right? Because a lot of people are running 2. But the thing is, when playing against aggro, this card isn't very good. When playing against control, the card's okay. It just summons another Jade Golem, can be powerful later on when the Jade Golem's larger. But the thing is, I found that if I run 2 of these, it sits in my hand against aggro a lot. Like, I'd rather have the second Feral Rage than this guy, because if I'm playing against a control deck and your argument is, well, he summons another big Jade Golem, well, if you look at this card right here, so does this, and it literally does the same thing better. It costs 1 mana, summons a Jade Golem, and I don't have to worry about the 3 mana more and the 2/3 body it brings out. Like, this card is good, but with cards like Jade Idol, you don't need to run 2 of these cards, because if you're playing against a control deck, this is your win condition, not this. This is basically against a mid-range deck. You're just trying to keep the board semi in your favor and just keep the tempo rolling, because you can coin Jade Blossom, play this on 4, works out well, but it's not a game ruiner either way. Double Swipe is a staple. It's your field removal, whether you combo it with Azure Drake to deal 2 damage to everything and 5 damage to a single target's up to you, but it's a very powerful card. 2 of these absolutely have to be in the deck. Azure Drake, because of how many cool spells, Living Roots, Wrath, Swipe, Azure Drake's very important. It's also a draw 1, and it has spell power, and it's decent stats. Staple in the deck, no doubt. Nourish, I've seen people run 1. I've seen people run 2. But the thing is, this deck doesn't have a whole lot of draw as is, right? You've got Raven Idols, which could potentially give you Nourish or draw. You've got Wrath, Azure Drake, and this. And you've got Gadgets in. But once you get into the late game and your deck's comprised of Jade Idols, making sure you can draw just more than 1 Jade Idol a turn is very powerful. Also, the ability to ramp with this, depending on your opening hand, is very powerful. So there's a lot of kind of this or that based on the situation you're currently in, which makes Druid in this particular deck one of the hardest, in my opinion, to play correctly, because there's so many options you can have in one turn. You could have up to maybe 5 or 6 options on turn 3 or 4, while Pirate Warrior has the options of maybe 1 or 2. You've got 3 times more options, which means you've got 3 times the mistakes you can make, versus only having 2 options. Therefore, you have a 50-50 chance to make the right or the wrong play, while if you have 6 plays to make, there's a 20% chance that you're going to make the right play based on the situation. So it's a much harder deck to play than a lot of people lead it on to be. The Second Rate Bruiser, like we said, is a tech card, because of what the meta is looking at right now. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. Turn 2 or 3, your opponent most likely has 3 or 4 cards on the board if you're playing against either an aggro pirate shaman or aggro pirate rogue, aggro pirate warrior. So this is one of those cards that makes them trade into at least 2 or 3 of their creatures, maybe even more, and can withstand the Arcane Reaper attack or assault, I should say. So it's very powerful. The Black Paw is found in any Jade Golem Druid deck. Any Jade Golem deck, for that matter of fact, not Druid. Being able to summon 2 Jade Golems, and she's a 5/3 body, very, very powerful. I found her in Rogue is a little bit better. When we do our Jade Golem Rogue, I'll get into that, why I think she's so much better in Rogue. But I haven't refined that deck, and it's still in testing, so we'll play it later on. But I think You'll see. It's just we've got some good stuff coming with her and in the rogue class. The auctioneers to keep the draw going in combination with Jade Idol. Innervates, just a whole bunch of cheap spells comes Auctioneer being great. Unfortunately, he's really bad early on if you're playing against an aggressive deck, but that's why we only run one of him instead of two, because we run two, there's a higher chance we draw him earlier on, and he's really bad early on. You basically play this guy against a control deck, draw a bunch of cards, make a bunch of dudes, and good things. The Jade Behemoth, a taunt summons Jade Golem, keeping the Jade Golem synergy, has taunt against a lot of these aggro classes, and he's a 3/6 on his own. So he stands alone, he summons what Jade Golems you need. Eventually there'll be 7/7, 8/8, and 9/9, so you can't really go wrong with the mana cost. Maybe earlier in the game, your first Jade Behemoth won't summon the biggest Jade Golem, but he himself is still a taunt, very powerful. Ancient of War, one of these guys, two is too much, but I found one is just enough, because with only having 4 taunts in the deck, that even before this expansion, 4 taunts in the deck would be a lot, but unfortunately, due to the fact that there's Doomhammer, the Reaper, the Pirate Warrior, you need taunts. We need to protect face, very important. So Ancient of War does that oh so well with that 5/10 body and the choose one to be a taunt, and yeah, the 5/10 taunt body. All right, so with that, we've talked about the deck list. For some reason, my voice is already killing me. We haven't even started yet. So we'll get into the games, and hopefully you'll enjoy them. I'll see you guys there. Innervate and Jade Spirit seems fine. He's probably Reno Mage, because that's the only thing that we normally see right now. And then Jade Golem Druid absolutely destroys Reno Mage, so I really don't have a problem with this. I have no problems, I say, with this. So we could wait a turn, go coin Jade Blossom, or we would innervate Jade Blossom, coin Jade Spirit next turn. But that's a lot of cards, because let's say, okay, we wait a turn, we Jade Blossom, then we on turn 4, then we would almost get to innervate the Behemoth, and then that doesn't feel very good. So give me a second here, guys. We innervate it now, then we're at 3 next turn, we'd coin, we're at 4, and then yeah, it works out better like that. Right? Yeah, it works out better if we do this now. Because next turn we're 3, we coin into 4, and then we just have 4. And we're going to draw into something, most likely, probably another 4-drop or something, or more ramp. York, the Shack is back. Welcome. Glad to have you here, buddy. Yeah, see, there's our 5. So I have faith that the next draw we won't have a dud turn 4. We had 2 draws to not have a dud turn 4, and this was what I was hoping for. We're definitely going to use the Nourish to draw, no doubt. The ramp in this deck is minimal. It's not the Cthulhu, wombo combo looking to rampy dampy all the time. We're just fine. And then when we draw into our oh, looks like a dud. Rip. That feels bad. We're just going to play the Drake on 5 just to keep the board going. Because the this particular deck that we're going against, his removal is Blizzard and Flame Strike. He runs one of both, and then he has got like the Ice Block, Flame Lance, and things of that nature. He'll run out of stuff eventually. We can never fatigue because of the new Jade card. So we're doing just fine. Well, unless he's running Freeze Mage, and then we need to draw into our Feral Rages, which then we would just push Nourish even more. The Kazakis confirms that he's the Reno Mage. Which is still a really good deck. It's just any Jade Golem deck just crushes control decks. And it's not like he can still win. Like, let's say he had a brilliant curve, right? And then he could just out-curve us because we couldn't play some of our big shit. Like if we had, Black Paw, or both our Emerald Jades in our hand, and like a War or something. And then you could just play creatures. We have no single target or field, great single target or field removal, and then we get blown out. But we're doing all right. We just had that dud on turn 4, which was my mistake, but I thought we would draw into something. I thought we would hit something, boys, but we didn't. All right, man, what are you thinking about? You're going to get a 5, because 5 is the best friend, because you're going to want to deal 4 damage to everything I have, and then you're going to want to draw 2, because cards to you are very important. So like I said, we're going to Drake. And then we're actually just going to go face, because there's no point to double trade at all, because if he picked up the deal 4 damage to everything, he's going to want to use that, maybe. I don't know. Depends how needy he is of that. Makes the trade ping. Oh, volcanic potion, ping. Okay, so that's one clear out of the way. So now we can drop the black paw, or we can drop the behemoth. Or we actually can drop gadgets in, innervate, and then go with Jade Idol. But I like saving all these for a little bit later when we can do a huge combo. The black paw is susceptible to the, like a sheep. But I'd rather play her now in the hopes that he doesn't draw into the sheep, because he's only 1/3 of the way through his deck. And because he's running, oh yeah, I gotta take down the deck list, my bad. You guys are right. You guys are right. When this gets posted to YouTube, people are going to be freaking out. They're going to be like, what are you doing? It's all wrong. It's all wrong. All right. So what do we got going on? I like the trade and then just the Jade Behemoth. Just keep blowing up the board. Like I said, eventually he cannot deal with what we're pushing. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you. Like, even a Flame Strike at this point doesn't. It kills 2 creatures, a 4/4 and a 3/3, both generated just off of the other Jade Golem abilities. It's gonna be rough for this. This deck is weak to basically strong mid range and aggro, and then any control deck as long as you can have an okay curve, like I mentioned. You are okie dokie. And then the Auctioneer and the Innervates and the Jade Idols are always great for later on, right? So this is so much draw. So much draw. So there's the Ice Block.
I have no time.
Ooh, Sylvanas. Oh, man, look at him. He's making the plays now, boys. Do we ignore this? Do we just go ahead and pop the block and have him do his Sylvanas shit? Or do we do... How much damage do we have? We have 9, 12, 15... I mean, we can't pop it yet. So I suppose we draw with Nourish, right? We're 2 off, I believe. I like having options. Because if we draw like a Living Roots or something like that. Ooh, swipe. Feral Rage is decent. Alright, so let's recalculate. Let's recalculate. We have 9, 12, 15. We can pop the block. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. Okay. Going in. Put him at 2. And if it wasn't block, we would just win. But he hasn't played anything to generate secrets, so it would be block, no doubt. All right, so now here's his big board swing turn where he's gonna, you know, probably kill our 3/6 and then swing his 5/5 into our 5/5 to take like a 4/4. There's this Reno, which we forced him to use, so now we know his Reno's gone and his Ice Block is gone. Just makes the trade there, pings. Okay, well, this is going to give us a pretty clean removal if he decides he doesn't want to kill anything else, right? Because he needs to get rid of his Sylvanas to take something? Okay. I mean, so theoretically, we just swing this here. We swing this here. We swing this here. He doesn't take anything now. And now we're free to basically just start doing whatever the fuck we want to do. We don't want to go off with the Auctioneer yet, guys. We're still kind of chilling. I don't really mind playing the Ancient of War. It's just a huge body, and it's gonna he's gonna want to get rid of it, right? And that's gonna take like a polymorph, and then we can just start dropping the big bombs after that when we start Jade idling into shit, which is maybe next turn's our Auctioneer turn, because we already have the Jade idol and Raven idol, but I almost want to play the Fandral too. I'll go like Auctioneer, Fandral, Innervate, Jade idol, Raven idol, and that just feels really nice. Ooh, this guy plays Ronin in his deck. Very interesting card. This is gonna give him 3 arcane missiles. I think the Azure Drake's a good way to go. Into a Nourish. We could just go wide. Then we're susceptible to a Flame Strike. This is going to deal 5. Then he's left at 2 on there. And we don't have a great way to deal 2 damage. Attacking it is an option. And then killing it. But then he's just going to missiles everything, right? So I guess we'll go with the Raven Idol. We'll just do one of these for now. And see what we get. Wrath. Still doesn't change anything.
but we're definitely going to be taking it. Or we could go with the Savage Roar to try to blow him out. I actually like the Wrath a little bit more. So we could kill it. We could swipe, Innervate Wrath. It's not the worst option in the world. I know I wanted to save Innervate for Gadgets in, but in this case, we get to kill it. It leaves our war alive, and we still get to draw a card. So, that's not the worst thing that could have happened right there. And he actually mills a Flame Waker, which feels really nice, right? Oh, baby. That is what I'm talking about, boys. All right. So, he still hasn't Flame Strike. I don't want to go off with Auctioneer just yet. Again, we want to use it when we don't have anything else to use and our deck gets thin to the point where we're mostly drawing into these the Jade Idols, because we just want to create some outstanding, outlandish, crazy board.
I wonder.
No problem. We still love you. Love you too, Samuel. Hopefully, hopefully in the YouTube video, I'll just remember to change it so you can't actually see it ever. It never was the. Yeah, I'll just YouTube magic, editing magic. Tech, IR Tech. Thank you very much for the follow, man. Welcome to the channel, and I'm hope to see you for a long time to come, man. This is a rough term for Korpek, because if he ends up using any sort of polymorph or a single target removal like Flame Lance, he's just even more susceptible to the Jade Golems, which are now 6/6s. Oh boy, he just chose to do nothing. I'm gonna make the assumption that I don't know. We're not gonna do too much. He could want us to be like overextend into some crazy shit. Right? Unless he actually just got disconnected. But I'm pretty sure we had this game in the bag, to be honest. We already used his Reno. We popped his block. We made him mill a card. And, you know, our Jade Golems are at the 6/6 period, which is basically the point at which your opponent's removal, it doesn't matter. Alright, so it looks like we have lethal set up. Sweetness, boys. Sweetness. Alrighty. So as long as we keep climbing, we started at what, 12 something, and now we're at lower than 12. We're at like, I feel like when we lost, we have to win 2 wins is worth 1 loss. So we've got to win at least 3 and lose 1, which is like, you know, really crazy win-loss ratio in order to climb successfully. But most of the time when people want to climb, they play like, you know, some form of aggro deck or mid-range deck, not necessarily a control deck, because control games take longer. So they'd rather have like a 5% lower win percentage but play twice as many games, therefore equaling out to a faster grind. I don't really like any of these opening cards. We're looking for ramp. Lol, Rob, just crafted this deck. This guy is letting my Groom Street Enforcer sit on the board when I have a full hand of minions. Oh, baby. Feels good, man. Feels good. Alright, so if he's playing, we're just going to summon 2/1/1 saplings. If he's playing the Reno variant, if he's playing the combo, which is the Leroy Jenkins Power Overwhelming Faceless Manipulator, we just got to watch our health total, we gotta and play our taunts accordingly, but most of the time we'll be able to beat this guy in the long run because of our Jade Golems. Again, it's just they create so much value that if you play any other control deck, and as long as you just don't make any huge mistakes, you'll be doing just fine. Hey man, it's nice to see you win a game. When we actually play a decent deck, Samuel, we do alright, you know? Like any sort of Jade Golem deck, like a Druid Jade, is going to be able to win some games. Unfortunately, though, our draw is fairly weak, right? Because we have nothing to play on turn 2. We had nothing to play on turn now 3. And it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. I can ooze, but then we float 1. But it's like, what else would we do anyway? Besides just hero power, save this for later. It plays into like a Demon Wrath or a Hellfire, but I suppose wouldn't we want him to just use that now? Well, I suppose if he's running Draxus, we should have saved this, but a lot of people have actually cut Draxus for the combo. So it's like a hit or miss, right? So he Demon Wraths, but then we still coin into Nourish to draw 3, drop the Black Paw, and we get the ball rolling. And the second rate bruisers, we could probably start switching these out now because there's not as much Pirate Warrior on ladder. which, you know, is the reason we put these in here in the first place, was because of all the shamans and all the aggro. But it does actually calm down quite a bit, surprisingly, with the amount of aggro decks that we've been seeing. So we could actually Feral Rage, coin, kill this, and then we still have our turn 5 play, which isn't too bad. Or we could go ahead and save coin, Feral Rage, swing, kill off our 1/1, and then we have coin for Black Paw next turn, followed by like a Nourish Hero Power. So it's like, what do we value, this 1/1 or a coin? I would have to say I value the coin more than a 1/1 because it gives us more leverage into playing like a variety of things in the upcoming turns. That moment you have a 6/5 Argent Horse Rider in your hand, the value, that value. All right, so there's the giant. That's a tidbit of a problem, you see. That's a big card. I suppose we would coin into the Black Paw, right? And then we make the trade into the giant because now the Black Paw can kill it as long as he doesn't Shadow Bolt her. Doesn't seem like the worst thing that could happen. But he can heal it back up with a Farseer, right? So maybe going face was the play because we actually have... All right, so if we go face. Puts him at 15. We've got 8 burst next turn, which means he would have to kill... He wouldn't have to kill the use, but he goes face, and I highly doubt he would do that. Leave himself at 15 when we have 9 damage on board. So that'd be 8. 13. Has the Shadow Bolt. Still brings out the 2. Let's say he went face with the 8 and our ooze was alive. That'd be, what, 5 into 8, which is still 13 when he'd be at 15. Okay, so we didn't miss anything by doing that particular play. Voidwalker doesn't change much. We're still going to swipe the giant. We actually could innervate and drop the second rate too. Or we could just hold the innervate. It's hard to say. So, what's our turn 7 looking like? So if we swipe the Drake, this goes down to 2. We swing into there. The 1 hits there. That becomes a 2/1. Trades with that. The follow-up turn, if we have the taunt, that's still a 2/1, protects it. But we lose the innervate, which is really good with gadgets in, which is going to be the gas. So I don't really value this guy that highly. So I think the play is still this. And then we know this trades here. We know this is going to trade here. And then we can easily hero power this guy down. And then next turn is going to be the Behemoth. I'm trying to subscribe, but I haven't been able to find the button yet. Any help? Unfortunately, I don't have a subscribe button yet because I've only been streaming for about 5 days, unfortunately. So with that said, give me 1 second when I finish this turn and I'll be able to help you. So we go Ancient of War, and it's 4 off, and it's at 1 HP, which means we can hero power it down. Or we could go with the Behemoth. The Behemoth is going to put it at 3, and then unfortunately our 3/3 is going to have to trade into it the following turn, if our 3/3 even lives at that point. So I would say if we war, it gets Siphon Souled, and that puts us in a really bad situation. I think the Behemoth is the better play. But it puts him at 1. I'm just going to go with on curve. Hopefully he doesn't get Siphon Souled. But yeah, so like we don't have a subscribe button yet because we've only been streaming 5 days, and we have to have like a certain number of average viewers, and we haven't come close to reaching that goal. So sorry about that, man. Sylvanas, oh god. I thought he was going to power overwhelming it. I was about to cry. Because if he power overwhelmings it and takes our dude, we are totally toaster strudeled. All right. Unfortunately, we attack the Sylvanas. He takes our dude. We can attack the 6/6. But I feel like drawing first. We need some options here, boys. We need options. This is a rough board to take care of. As soon as we get past this Sylvanas, I think we'll be in a decent situation. All right. Do we Raven Idol here, or do we go ahead and we Jade Blossom? Or we could even second rate Bruiser. So we'd make this trade here. This goes down to a 5/4. But then he just swings his Sylvanas and he would take our Bruiser. I think our best option is to Raven Idol and look for something. Mulch isn't the worst card. Naturalize also is not the worst card. We could get him to overdraw, and Starfall is not the worst card. Because then he doesn't actually generate a card, but it costs 5. This is a rough one. I think I'm going to go with the Starfall. We're going to attack into this. Feels bad taking 6, but gotta do what you gotta do. He actually might just have lethal here based on if he has like Leroy Jenkins and do like a power overwhelming, right? So he would just kill our war, Leroy power overwhelming, go face for 12. It looks like he's pushing to keep Sylvanas alive. Could see a Demon Wrath go down here, which is why I took Starfall instead of the Mulch. Because the biggest threat he's going to throw down is this Sylvanas. He already played a 6/6. Kazakus doesn't really change much. The potion is going to be pretty nice for him, though. But I'm just going to hope he doesn't have the huge direct damage. We can go ahead and Feral Rage for armor. But we can't really build up a sizable board until this Sylvanas is gone. The Sylvanas is like one of the worst things. It was actually a tech. The Ancient of War in this deck, is gonna change to. Oh no, not the Ancient of War. The second rate Bruiser, I was gonna change to the new Defias guy. I was gonna change him into the 6 or 7 drop 6/7 silence a death rattle minion. That was actually a change I was thinking about making. Okay, so the Starfall is going to deal 2 to everything, and then we can hero power this down and die. Or we can just Starfall it down. Innervate out a taunt, so we don't lose. And then next turn we got to go with the armor and just hope he can't get past the taunt and kill us. If he has the 10 mana deal 8 damage to us directly, we couldn't really play around that in any way. We need to put cards on the board, and we need to at least have some cards on the board when we decide we want to armor up. The good thing for us, though, if he's not playing the combo variant, or if he just doesn't have it, because, you know, there are one-ofs in the deck, we do stand a chance. We were, like I said, we were in a good position up until the Sylvanas got dropped. That's one scary card. Because we don't want him taking the war, because this deck has trouble with single target removal. It doesn't run mulches, and it doesn't have anything like a polymorph or like a pyroblast or a flame lance or a hex. That's what Druid lacks. So he's tapping, which shows he doesn't have necessarily what he needs to concede. He's already really low, so I wouldn't be surprised with a tap like this late in the game that he might actually just go ahead and Reno, right? To play around any sort of burst that we might have. Because we've only shown him 1 swipe. We've shown him no Feral Rages. So he's going to go ahead and make that attack. We might even see a Hellfire. Okay, so there's the Reno. That makes sense. That was right off the top, which is very surprising that he decided to wait that long. Okay, so this is what you could actually go off here with the Auctioneer, to be honest. We go Auctioneer, Innervate. We've got Feral Rage going on. Or we could just go with the Feral Rage. Definitely just get the armor now, which I think is the better play. We're going to make this trade right here just to clear his board. And then we could go with the Jade Blossoms, Jade Spirit, or we could just go with the Behemoth. If we go with this into this, it ramps us into our Jades faster, which is good. And it forces the Twisting Nether if he has it, or like a Soulfire. So I actually like this a lot. The bigger these guys can get, the faster we can get them there, the higher chance of win we've got going on here. And we're at 13 life, which means he can't Leroy power overwhelming us. And he actually hasn't empered yet, so we're not scared of the 20 damage burst yet. So that's pretty nice. No problem, Train. Thank you for the thought of wanting to sub though. That's much appreciated. All right, so the Twilight Drake is kind of scary, but not as scary as what it could be. Can't necessarily kill it. I'd want to just Jade Behemoth, keep bringing out our big dudes, and then go face. Because we're lacking cards, next turn looks like an Auctioneer Innervate, and hopefully we can rip a Raven Idol or like a Jade Idol off the top. That would be like much appreciated. And then like draw into Jade Idol and just do the Jade Idol craziness. What up, Shark? So there's the Emperor Tharzan, which means we need to start playing the taunts. There's the Blast Crystal Potion, which means he's going to be going for the combo very, very soon, which means we need to taunt up. Oh my god, this is so difficult. So, Gadgetson, Innervate, Raven Idol. Or do we just go with, like, the Bruiser? Hold on. So we hit this with there. We swipe this and swing. And hero power. We'd have to innervate to hero power. We want to save Raven Idol for Auctioneer. And we have to play around combo. This is a rough turn, boys. And I know this looks very wrong. But it's what needs to happen. And I know this looks very wrong. But we're literally living by 1 HP here. This looks like a fucking stupid turn. But we know he has 20 damage burst in hand. We have to assume he's playing the Reno combo lock. Each one's going to have 10 attack. One's going to be able to get through the second rate bruiser. The other one is going face, which means we have to be at 11, or at least 11. Rob, I built a control shaman deck. Use yours as like a sort a template, you know, like just a base. And you're currently at 8-0. Nice, man. I'm glad it's working out for you, Composite. So it looks like he's tapping. He's looking for some answers. If we can get a really nice turn with this Auctioneer and maybe pull a heal or two from the Raven Idol, we are going to be in a fantastic position, boys. Wrath. This is good stuff. All right, so I suppose we're going to be looking at the Raven Idol first. We're going to discover a spell. Hopefully it's some form of draw or heal. Another Raven Idol feels pretty nice. So we're going to go Raven Idol Inception. There's the healing touch. That looks very sick right now. Unfortunately, we can't use it. So we're going to go with the Wrath to deal 1. This could pull us another Innervate. Unfortunately, it didn't. So, all right. So he hasn't used Hellfire yet. So Hellfire would cost 3. Leroy would cost 4. Power Whelming would cost 10, which means we have to trade here into here to play around Hellfire, Leroy, Power Overwhelming. Again, we are playing a very awkward game here, guys. We are playing a very particular game to play around a specific combo our opponent has. I know it looks absolutely tragically bad, but I'm doing this on purpose to play around what this guy's got going on. So now, because he's Twisting Nethered, and he's going to drop the Ooze, he's hoping that we don't have, first of all, a heal or another taunt. But let me tell you, brother, we've got exactly what's that. So we need to play the taunt, 100%. We need to heal, 100%. Well, we don't actually need to heal 100%, but we do need to kill that Ooze. So I actually, let's go through the motions of knowing what we have to do. Bruiser's coming down. Living Roots is killing this. This doesn't change. Now our options are to either, do we want to heal? Yeah, so we're just going to, I suppose we can just heal and throw down 1 Jade Idol. The other one's going to be used to go back into our deck. This is perfect, guys. We are making plays, boys. Holy shit, a streamer who pronounces my name correct. Normally I fuck names up pretty hard, Composite. But that I remember reading about composite fabrics and materials in a game I played 3 years ago. I know that's specific, but that's what I remember. I had to pick up composite pieces, very important. I looked at the word, and I'm like, let's Google this word. Looked up the word, pretty interesting. So this guy's getting pretty pissed off at us because he can't use his combo, but it's sitting in his hand. He's like, what the fuck? This guy is stream sniping me. How does he keep playing around this Hellfire that gets reduced? Power Overwhelming shenanigans. We know. All right, so his hand consists of Power Overwhelming, Leroy Jenkins, Hellfire, Faceless Manipulator. Those are 4 out of the 7 cards. We already Twisting Nether, Demon Wrath, Sylvanas, Mountain Giant, Twilight Drake. All right, so there's this. He was holding on to this because he didn't want to heal us, but now because of the situation he's in, he just needs to basically play something. He still has a Shadow Flame left, which is kind of scary. So we're actually gonna go put this Jade Idol back into our deck. And now we can play the Drake or we can play the Nourish. And I think the Nourish is the better play right now because we're going to draw back into some of those. Okay. So now I want to hero power as many times as we can just to keep the armor going and to keep us above 20 life, which means we can't Jade Blossom this turn. So we're going to go ahead and summon another 8/8 Golem. We're going to hero power. We're going to leave the taunt up to maximum HP, and we're just going to make the trades like this. Like I said, he's already Twisting Nethered, so his next plan would be to, he's going to have to play Leroy. He's going to have to Power Overwhelming it, and then he's going to have to Shadow Flame his own Leroy. That's the situation we've put him at. And unfortunately, when we used the Jade Idol, we could have held on to the Jade Idol, right? And just, not playing the 8/8 and used it with Fandral next turn. But I figured because more than half of our deck consists of the Jade Idol, or at least half of it, there's a good chance we're going to draw into another one. Or we can just go Azure Drake for the double draw. So there's the Faceless. His combo has now been ruined, and here is the Shadow Flame, which I mentioned before. So this, instead of using Leroy Power, he only used 1 card instead of 2, but now we know that his max burst he can do is 10, which is very important in this particular matchup. All right, so the Azure Drake to draw. We're never going to run out of cards, guys. This was actually a really sick draw to be able to kill this card and then continue the cycle into our deck. And then there's the Jade Idol. We're just going to... We actually don't have to put it back yet. We can just Blossom, or we can Hero Power. I actually like the Blossom here, though. We played this game very meticulously, and I think it paid off in the end. This was a very, very intense game. Oh no! This was bad. We won. This is bad because now if this dies, then we don't get the Jade Idol infinite goodness. Well, no, don't kill my Fandral. You're ruining my plan. I have a feeling his Dirty Rat doesn't have, like, what removal does he have? He has a Hellfire left. He already used Shadow Flame, Twisting Nether, Demon Wrath, Sylvanas. Unless he runs some, like, crazy, like, double Twisting Nether with Reno, or he plays... I highly doubt he plays Draxus. But if he does play Draxus, he just loses to board. There's the Siphon Soul coming down, which is sad because I wanted to play Fandral with our particular situation that we had going on here. We know that this is going to be Jade Idol. And we're just going to shuffle 3 more into our deck. And then there's really no reason to do anything else. We know this trade's here. And then this goes face. There's no reason to do anything else. We could shuffle this into our deck, but I don't really like that at all. Alright, so he's going to have initiative, which is not good for us. He is also running out of cards too, though. So this is where he's going to drop Draxus if he has it. Oh, man. There it is. And he's going to summon a 6/6. So his max... And he's going to hit us for 3. This is why I wanted to Hero Power as much as possible every turn. So this is the scary. This is why I was saved... this is why at the very beginning, like I mentioned, I would have saved Ooze. So we're going to Azure Drake. Summon a 10/10. Summon 11/11. And, I guess we just go balls deep, right? Alright, come at me, bro. The last one in our deck, we just turn into another one. We turn into 3 more. He already used his Twisting Nether, Shadow Flame, and everything. So max damage he can do is Leroy. He can do his Leroy, his Power Overwhelming, his 6... Oh, no. Didn't play around the Mind Control tech. I don't think that's still enough, though. Oh, he could taunt it, too. We didn't play around Mind Control tech. That was my fault. So the last one we should have held 100% based on that last play. I always forget about playing around the Mind Control tech. So here he goes. He's going to use Defender of Argus. He hasn't used his Argus yet. So this actually was really bad that we played the 4th Jade Golem. That's actually could be a loss right here. Even though we played this extremely well, in my opinion, that's actually a loss. That makes me so sad. We played this so well. I don't think there's a way out of it. Yep, there's a well played here. So we lost because of the Mind Control tech.
Because imagine this. He doesn't get to mind control tech. His taunts are limited. These two giant ones, we have a 10-10 and a 12-12. Both make trades. Doesn't have board. Drake trades into something else. But now he can just Leroy us down. We don't have the ooze. And we've taken 9 damage over the course of 3 turns because of Blood Fury. That is one tragic loss, boys. That is one tragic, tragic loss. That makes me feel horrible inside. So Leroy, power, and then this would be 18, and there's 21 damage. We only have 19. All right. Well, you guys saw how you should play this matchup until you don't play around mind control tech. The only thing, it always slips my mind. It always slips my mind, but it's still going to be put on YouTube for the deck guide. I still think this is a good game. It feels incredibly bad. And imagine if we would have had an extra dude out. Remember when he pulled Fandral, we would have played Jade Idols twice, putting them on the board and actually shuffling them in our deck, meaning that the turn that we didn't have anything to play, that we would have had 2 more. So, feels bad. Jabba, haven't seen Warshack stream before. Welcome to the channel, man. Welcome to the channel. And I've been streaming basically every day for the past 5 or 6 days now. So, you'll hopefully see a lot more of me. Time's up. Leroy Jenkins. All right, so he's playing Shaman, which means we basically have to look for like Feral Rage is so good against the Totem Golem, but unfortunately I don't know if we keep it or not. That's the thing. I suppose we can keep it. But normally we always look for the Innervates and the Jade Blossoms. And those are very, 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 very important in this matchup. I cannot stress the importance of those cards. Because he can just easily kill us by turn 5. That's the power of the Shaman. Shamans have a way with the killing quickly. So, looking at this board, there's 2 things that we can look here. Okay, so we can hero power down the 1/1, right? Or we can not kill it, and then hopefully we would basically Raven Idol into maybe a decent 4 or 5 drop, and then we'd be playing the second hand Bruiser because he's gonna play another card next turn. But I have no faith in myself whatsoever that that's gonna happen. So we're just going to kill this, and we're going to make the assumption that he has like 2 1-drops or like a 2-drop coining into a 1-drop. Or if he plays like Tunnel Trog or Totem Golem, then we can just Feral Rage it down. And maybe when we play Fandral, it can live a turn, then we can like Wrath it down. Or maybe we don't use the Feral Rage by then, so we can Fandral, Wrath, Feral Rage. Then we get the 8 armor, get the attack down, we draw a card with Wrath, and actually remove a creature as well. So that'd be actually really great. Thank you very much, Jabba, for the follow, man. Glad you're here. Glad you enjoyed the stream enough to do that, and I hope to see you for a long time to come. So it basically all depends what the Shaman depends. Like, let's say he goes like weapon. Oh, fuck. I was going to say weapon into coining into a creature. So if we would have held back the second raid, it still wouldn't have been as good, that great. This feels bad. This is bad. So we can Wrath this guy down, but unfortunately it doesn't get rid of the weapon. So we could Wrath for just, I think we hero power. And I know we're Raven idling not first, but it's still fine. I'm gonna go for the healing touch 100%. We will be able to outlast him if we can just not get bursted down by like a field full of like mines, right? As long as he doesn't rip like some crazy start, which his start has been pretty good so far. He's gotten the Spirit Claws, got the Buccaneer on turn 1, so these 2 in combination with each other are huge. Taunt Totem doesn't really mean anything, so we're gonna be able to easily pass by it easily, both of these with the Wrath. So I actually mind just throwing down the second rate, but unfortunately we throw down the second rate, we can't do much else. Swipe only kills 1 card, so I actually just want to Wrath both of these cards down, remove all threat off the board, and we'll just go from there. We have an answer for Totem Golem, we have an answer for armor, we've got HP
gain back, and then we actually have Fandral if we draw into like a Nourish or any other card. Sad meta, this Pirates deck, it's so cancer, it makes me sad. Pretty much, man. I mean, it's actually not too bad, because as long as you can live in the early game and kind of just manage your resources and like figure out what's the max damage that they can do, you'll find yourself in a pretty good position most games. Second rate Bruiser hero power doesn't feel as good as Swipe. Swipe takes out 2 cards, and second rate Bruiser is just going to get removed, so I think we're just going to Swipe. Again, just trying to live. Hopefully we can draw into some of our Jade cards or Jade Blossoms. Another Swipe would be good. Living Roots is good. But this is getting kind of rough. So we could go into the second rate Bruiser heal. Or we go double second rate Bruiser, which I actually don't mind that much at all. This is a pretty strong, strong wall we've built. So as long as he doesn't have like Hero Power Maelstrom Portal, we're in a pretty good position. As long as he doesn't have maybe a Lightning Storm. And if he does, we just don't run him to roll the Spell Power Totem, which he has enough mana to do all of that. And last game, guys, this is the reason why the second rate Bruisers are in the deck, right? I've mentioned before that these guys are specifically in this deck for to be able to withstand the aggro that's currently found on ladder. Like right now he has to push in 10 damage. There's the Jade Lightning coming down. He's still going to have to trade something in. Probably a weapon because it only has 1 HP. Oh gosh, there's a Lightning Bolt too. So he's going to be able to trade his 2-1, his weapon into the other and deal still 5 damage to our face. If we can pick up a Swipe or some form of removal, I think we'll be in a pretty decent spot. That's not what we were looking for. Okay, so I think our best bet is to go Fandral Feral Rage here. It's going to allow us to kill a creature and still gain 8 armor. And this guy, the Shaman's only down to 1 card in hand. And he's going to want to kill Fandral because he thinks we may have a Nourish in our hand or something like that. We still have the Jade Idol, which is pretty nice. So next turn, ideally we want him to play like a weapon, like another Spirit Claws and not roll a Spell Power Totem. So we want this to be anything but Spell Power. Okay, perfect. Sir Finley. All right, so Hunter's bad. Warlock is bad. There's a lot of bad. Hunter, like I said, is bad, but we have the Healing Touch. I would have to say most likely the Warlock would be the worst one out of the set, right? Nourish. That is a really nice pickup. If we can draw into a Swipe, we are in good hands, boys. Innervate is good. So we actually could Nourish again and then still have mana to do stuff. Because it's going to give us 2 mana crystals, and then we can Innervate, but means we can't hero power this down, which means we can't attack into there. But if we draw a Swipe, then we're, like I said, in good hands. So I think we're just going to go for the second Nourish. So we're at 8. If we Living Roots, we know we're Innervating. So we could hero power this, swing, kill that, then we're still at 8 though, and I don't like that. I'd much rather feel safe like this. I'd much rather feel the safeness like this. So I guess we could swing into there. What do we want to deal 2 damage to? Probably a totem, right? We don't want him running spell power. So if we can kill 2 totems, the likelihood of him getting another spell power are very low. And then next turn, we just drop the Ancient of War and we win the game. As long as we can live another turn, we can drop War. If he decides he wants to Doom Hammer, we can Acidic Swamp Ooze. But we still lose this game if he decides he wants to Doom Hammer, Rockbiter, which was 10. And then actually he still has 15 here, which means when we hero power, nope, we would die to that. So as long as he doesn't have Doom Hammer, Rockbiter, but he already hero powered, which shows he doesn't. Faceless is a good card, but unfortunately it's still not. He can get maybe through the 10-10 with that. It'll be interesting. It will be interesting. So we're going to drop this for sure. We know we're Jade idling, and then we also know we're hero powering. We need to hero power every single turn. Alright, so now we want to kill this Totem Golem. We don't want to take any damage face. We're going to take out his 1-1, and we're going to start pushing face ourselves. So we're just right now currently hoping he doesn't
draw one of two things. One, Hex if he has it in the deck, and the other one's going to be just direct damage spells like Lava Burst, right? Because if he Lava Burst face, he just puts us on a quicker countdown because this is going to deal 2, but this gives us 1. Oh gosh, 2 Faceless. That's bad. Okay, so we need another Taunt, or we need something to remove these with. Or we need to draw some more Fandral Synergy, like another Feral Rage. Auctioneer is good. This gives us options. As long as we don't draw into another Jade Idol. Swipe! No, we're 1 mana off. No. No. Oh no. So we know we have to Hero Power. I think we might have lost, boys. The reason being is because he probably has a direct damage spell in his hand, and he has 9 damage, and we're at 9 HP. We needed to be able to swipe his guy, but unfortunately, with using the Auctioneer and then the cheapest spell, we drew into a spell that we couldn't play. So if this is any sort of... If he draws a direct damage spell, this can make contact with face based on his hero power, too. So there's the Lava Burst, and then here is the 7/7 face, and then hero power. Yeah, or 11 burst. Oh, it feels terrible. It feels terrible. Where was our behemoths? Where was the good stuff? I feel smuggled out of these games, boys. Smuggled. All right, so let's see what we're playing against now. A mage named Cheese. Have you tried this with 2 Doomsayers? Doomsayers and Druid just doesn't... On turn 2 and 3, you're looking to really ramp. You're not really looking to do much else. I think Raven Idol's fine to keep and Innervate's fine. I don't like keeping Jade Idol or Wrath in my opening hand against a Mage, which is probably, again, going to be another Reno Mage. So there's Living Roots. Not too bad. Jade Behemoth is decent. I wish this guy would have made an appearance last game. But unfortunately, he did not. Alright, so we're going to start off with the Raven Idol and look for a Wild Growth or a Jade Blossom. Got neither. Wrath is also not a terrible choice. If he's playing Freeze Mage, then Bite is good. But we're just going to go with the Wrath. It can be used for Cycle. It can be used for a lot of things. No. It's oh gosh, he is playing Freeze Mage. Okay, so we're just gonna heavy cycle for our Feral Rages. We're just going to cycle very heavy for them. We could just hero power this down, or we could go Innervate, Fandral, Coin, Living Roots. It's just an option. I don't necessarily like it that much though. So because we know he's playing Freeze Mage, we're going to cycle very hard for our armor gains. So Bite in that option that we had before was by far the best choice, if we would have known it's Freeze Mage. So maybe holding Raven Idol there was a better choice. Jade Blossom is very good, right on 3. And then we can actually coin into the Behemoth, and if we can just start ramping out with our big dudes, that's fine, but we definitely need the Feral Rages. Those are like 100%. We need to get the armor down there. So I really don't even mind using the Fandral into the coin and wrathing that down. And we can even coin the Jade Idol too. But we almost want to use this stuff for Auctioneer. This is it's an interesting matchup at the least. Because if we put more Jade Idols in our deck, then it's a less chance we have to draw Feral Rage. And that's our first Jade Idol. So I don't really want to draw. I don't want to put 3 of them in the deck right now at all. So I suppose we could just start with the Fandral. Yeah, the Fandral Coin Wrath seems fine. Just to draw and to kill that card. And then we want him to use like a Fireball or something on Fandral. Because we do not want him to have more burst to our face. Because we still haven't drawn a single Feral Rage. A single Feral Rage. Normally 1 is sufficient.
because after that, if you're able to pop the block, which he hasn't played yet, you can win the turn after. There, it looks like that is his first secret. Can't kill this guy, which means if we can rip the Nourish off the top, we are doing just fine. Unfortunately not, but we can kill the Doom Guard, or the Doomsayer. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that. See what we draw with Wrath first. Swipe is decent. Gonna be able to kill that down. Again, we do not want to play the Jade Idol, because I do not want to draw into them. Not yet, at least. Feral Rages are much more important than drawing into Jade Idols. Whew. Swipe is good burst from the hand. Maybe we can get him off guard if he doesn't pick up a block, but I mean, he's already more than almost halfway in his deck, basically. So the chances of him having at least one block. Ooh, he's gonna Emperor with 7 cards in hand. Okay. Double Innervate, so we're going to definitely go with the, if we go with the Behemoth, then we have 1 mana left over, and then Innervate means we have 3 left over. We have double Innervate. So I guess, yeah, if we draw Auctioneer, we want to keep those Innervates. So I suppose we will just want to hero power as much as possible, right? Because even hero powering for like a couple turns, you build up this armor, he's not pinging face, feels pretty good. And again, these Innervates with Gadgets in will get us quicker to Rage. I would hate to pick up like a Gadgets in after we just use double Innervate. That'd be not so swell. So there's the Intellect. He's pushing. He has 7 cards with Emperor, which is kind of scary. We'll check out the ones that he uses. This wasn't discounted. This one wouldn't be discounted. Still pushing Cycle. Very scary. And there's a 2-drop secret. So this is one of the ones discounted. So we'll attack face first and see if it's an Ice Barrier. Alright, so that's a block. We're going to drop this. We're going to drop a Behemoth. And we're just going to, again, try to armor up as much as we can with our hero power until we draw our Feral Rages, which is our win condition. But if he drops, like, Alexstrasza now, there's not going to be much we could do. We didn't draw into any of our Nourishes, Feral Rages, Auctioneer. We got Fandral, but then we tried to draw as much with Fandral as we could, right, with the Wraths and stuff. But there's only so much you can push in one game, and if the deck just doesn't give it to you, there's not much you can do. But I mean, if he starts using field removal, it gives us more time. I think that would be the best thing for us. That 1, 2, 3, 4 legend rank. Or a stepping stool. I didn't even notice that, York. That's pretty funny. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, like, best draw we could possibly get. Gadgets and Auctioneer, Innervate, draw both Feral Rages. GG, no re.
What to do?
GG, no re.
Time runs out on me.
He's thinking hard. He must have Alex in his hand, right? He must have it. No, he's just pinging. Maybe he doesn't have the damage to follow up and is scared we already have the Feral Rages. Nourish. Gimme Rage. Alright. Okay. There's a Rage. There we go. Alright, so we're going to Raven Idol. I mean, we could go with the Teacher because she's super annoying. But this guy's pretty annoying too. Swipe is good. Now we're going to Innervate. Jade Behemoth. I almost want to Innervate hero power. Thinking about it. Now we could just Innervate Feral Rage. Because he has no way to take off armor unless he pings. And if he's pinging, he's not dealing damage. So we can pop the block next turn, which means this guy is on a 3-turn clock right now, depending on if he freezes our field so far. He hasn't shown Frost Novas yet, Blizzards, Flame Strikes. He's only shown 1 Doomsayer, which means that's why we're going to save the Living Roots and the Swipe for when he decides he wants to Frost Nova Doomsayer. We can easily just kill it with that. We just got to make sure we hero power every turn, and I think we're set. Unless he's going to be able to push through all of this armor which will be interesting. He's going to try to ping with his hero power every turn as possible. But like, let's say he okay, so there's the blizzard, and then here it looks like some damaged face. We might have had to held back that Feral Rage. That might have been a mistake. If we pop the block from here, this is 8, 10, 11. We cannot. Again, Jade idling. I don't want to put him in the deck. I need to draw the other Feral Rage. Feels bad, but it's got to happen. This wasn't discounted. Okay, this was a discounted fireball. He hasn't actually used any roaring torches yet either. So that was, he hasn't used frostbolts or ice lance. We're still in a scary spot. There's the alkalite ping. We need that second Feral Rage for sure. We already used double Raven Idol, so we can't pick up any more healing like that, which means the last Feral Rage is our only healing in the deck. So we need to pop this block ASAP. And we can do that next turn with double swipe Living Roots. Hero power? Nope, he's at 12. Ooh. So if any card makes contact with face, we're popping that block. He has to Frost Nova here. We're going to see it. There's no way. Chose the secret. Ice Barrier, that's not going to be enough. But there's the Frost Nova that he discounted. That makes sense. Ancient of War is going to be a 10-10. So, Ancient of War, Living Roots, Hero Power. Still just trying to push as much damage as we can. I know it's the barrier, but that's the second one, so there's no point not to pop it. We'll draw the second Nourish and the other Feral Rage soon. We'll get there eventually, boys. Good thing is no torches have hit face yet. Still has another Frost Nova. He already used one Blizzard. So, I mean, we're going to stay frozen for quite some time. He actually might have this game. We needed to pop the block like 2 turns ago. So maybe using the Feral Rage when we did was a mistake. We needed to use it after he used Alexstrasza. So he needed to play Alexstrasza. We needed to kill it. We needed to double Feral Rage. And then he probably would have to either deal with our board with freezing it, play the other block, and do damage to us at the same time. So we played it at the wrong time. I haven't gone against freeze mages a lot with this deck, so obviously we're not going to make it the perfect plays. But ideally, now realizing we should have played the block in a different order. We're going to double swipe the Doomsayer for sure. Again, hero powering every turn. 6 armor, baby. Gotta hold it to it. Gotta hold to it. So he's looking for something. He needs his Alex. There's the Alex. So we just need to draw our Feral Rage this turn. There's the Drake, which can still get us the Feral Rage. So we want to pop the block and kill, of course, this. So the best way to do that would be probably 3-3. This is 7. That seems fine. Goes here. Goes here. Max damage goes face. He's put at 6. We're going to go ahead and Drake, because we can get Feral Rage. That'll be great. Thank you very much, game. Thank you very much. Now we push 5. We do 1. We pop the block at 1. And he has to do 30 damage in spells. So what he's going to do this next turn, he's going to play the other block. He's going to deal 8 damage worth of damage. He's going to probably throw a ping in there so you get 2 pings over. He's going to... that's already pushing at 4 mana if it's discounted by 1. So he has 6 mana to play with. So we'll probably see the Frostbolt, Frostbolt, Ice Lance,
Fireball, Ice Block, Ping, followed by next turn Roaring Torch, Ping. Based on what I've seen and what we've seen get discounted. But he knows he's got to play the block this turn. And that Feral Rage is so important, guys. But you could say it was luck, but we've drawn quite a few cards in this deck. And we were solely looking for those 2 specific cards the entire game. Our entire game plan revolved around drawing them. So it was only a matter of time, necessarily. I mean, we drew 23 cards of our deck. And we didn't necessarily need the Feral Rage this turn either. We would have lived 1 turn because the burst that he could have done this turn would have been roughly 15 to 16, and we had like around 20 HP. So there's the Forgotten Torch. And we might have actually had the wrong order. So Forgotten Torch, Fireball, okay. And then the block. The Ping and then the 2-mana block. Okay. So he needs 21 damage this turn. So, I mean, we could go, like, there's nothing in our deck that's going to, we already used everything, so. Oh, he actually can still freeze our board. So that is still an option. He'd have to freeze our face, too, but he's going to be able to do that with the Frostbolts. So, he could still have this. I would not be surprised. Here's the Frostbolt, Ice Lance. He actually probably has this. Yep, Ice Lance, and then the Ping is dead. Or just the double Ice Lance is dead. Fun and interactive, boys. Fun and interactive. So we needed to save the first Rage, and we needed to hopefully, if we would have picked, imagine picking the Bite now, right? That would have been good. That would have been really nice. Vandal's gotten a lot of value, but unfortunately, it doesn't matter in this particular matchup how much value he gets, because it's not, the Freeze Mage doesn't care about the board. It doesn't care about how much we draw. It solely's purpose is to stall us, get damage, kill us. Like, it doesn't, it's an interesting deck. He played it very well. So against another Mage, again, I always assume Reno Mage. Even though we played a Freeze Mage, I still assume Reno Mage. So with that said, I don't like anything in this opening hand. I mean, Nourishes, nah, we don't keep that. That's just silly. I mean, no, we keep nothing here. Jade Blossom, good. Fandral, okay. Innervate's always nice. Okay, so this will probably be our last game of playing the Jade Golem Druid. He was not a goose. No, Shark. He was not a goose. He was a good goose. So we innervate, do that. We're at 3. We coin into 4, and then we're just back on 4. So there's really no point to do anything this turn. Next turn's like coin Jade Blossom. I don't care. I don't really care about killing this Babbling Book. And almost removing one of these second-rate bruisers seems like a pretty good plan right now. Again, this deck, it was had in mind all of the pirate and pirate shamans and pirate warriors in mind, and there was a lot of them. So, as times change, techs must be made. So, coin, Jade Blossom, and double innervate's very, very interesting, right? So we actually could double innervate Fandral, but we're not leading into anything, so we're not going to do that. Soulcasting the Babbling Book, so that's interesting as well. He knows we're playing Jade Golem based on that last play we just made. Fandral, Innervate, Feral Rage, again, does not feel very welcoming. Innervate Azure Drake also doesn't feel that great, because we still float 1 mana unless we draw into like a Raven Idol, at which we'd want to save that for Fandral anyway. This is not the best of turns, but I still think we Innervate out the Azure Drake. Yeah, these second-rate bruisers are not coming in so clutch. We're not playing against aggro decks. Like, it's very interesting. I suppose once players hit Legend, like maybe they've calmed down on the aggro decks, but I remember when we first hit Legend, we were playing almost still all aggro decks. So I guess it just it just depends on the name. What up, Cole? What up, man? How's it going tonight, buddy?
So, Forgotten Torch, he just... Wow. It's a lot of... Oh, came from the Babbling Book. But he still only has 4 cards in his hand. That was a very interesting line of play he just made. So, Fandral, Innervate, Feral Rage to kill this is not that bad. The reason being is he just used a lot of his removal on our Azure Drake, which tells me he's either gonna have to Fireball this or Flame Lance it, because Arcane Blast and the Roaring Torch, what is he gonna do? And we don't have a follow up for Fandral in our hand anyway. So if he overextends with resources, like he decides he wants to like polymorph it, that feels pretty good, because we didn't have Nourish in our hand to begin with, unless we drew into Nourish, but we didn't. So it was actually really good he decided he wanted to do that, because now we can run away with the game with our larger minions. And we know he's most likely playing Reno because he's running the Soulcaster, and with that he only runs 1 Flame Strike, 1 Blizzard, which means the chances of those being drawn are pretty low. Emperor's kind of scary, so we actually might just swipe and hit this with our 1/1. I don't care about the sheep that much. It can be pinged off. I didn't really feel like taking 5 face damage there. What up, Overdose? Just opened a Golden Dawn Hanjo. Wow, congrats, man. What deck you running? I'm running the Jade Golem Druid. We're doing our deck guide right now, which we've only won once, but I'm pretty sure the games that we played were very informative. And even though you don't win them all, I think you learn more from when you lose than you win. So just because we lose them all, or to have not lose them all, but don't win them all, doesn't mean the deck guide won't do well. So we're just gonna play the creature, hero power, and then go face with what we've got going on. Unfortunately, double Living Root draw was probably some of the worst draws in the deck, because they don't necessarily do anything right now. So like drawing both second-rate Bruisers and Living Roots in the first 12 cards of the deck is probably not the best way that we're gonna get a victory here, but I still think this deck is gonna perform well against the Reno Mage, like we've mentioned in the first game that we had played against them. Oh wow, that was extremely unfortunate for him that he had pulled on our 2/1. But I mean, at least we know that combo is out, right? Like he didn't rip something huge. So there's the secret. This is the ice block, because we already knew he played his Babbling Book card. We're going to go ahead and Raven Idol for a spell. Hopefully get like a Nourish or some form of a draw mechanic. This is unfortunate. Force of Nature or Jade Lotus. I actually like the Mark of the Lotus a little bit more than anything right now. So we could go Living Roots, Mark of the Lotus, and just go wide, and hopefully he doesn't have Blizzard, right? How much do we like that plan? How much do we like that plan? What are the chances he has Blizzard or Flame Strike? Pretty low. Pretty low. Now, I'll take the risk. You gotta risk it for the biscuit sometimes, boys. You have to risk it for that biscuit. So this is gonna go 5. This is gonna go 1. This is gonna go 4. These are 5 in total, which means they can trade into anything. But if we trade into this, it's gonna be very difficult for him to kill whatever he wants. Alright, we've gone wide. We get punished by Flame Strike. We get absolutely destroyed by Flame Strike, but it's a 1-of card in his deck. He does not have it. The Blizzard kills off our Groots, but leaves the other stuff alive. So we still have a 4/3 on board, and he used one of his mass removals. As long as we can draw into a Nourish or some form of draw mechanic, we should be in a fine position. Unfortunately, that is not one of them. Our past 3 draws have been pretty weak, boys. Got a lot of great creatures in the deck, a lot of value that we can make, and it's not going there. Why is Malorn not played? Because he's a wild card. This is standard. Intellect, so he gets his draw, so we deserve our draw at this point. He plays 1 Arcane Intellect, we play 2 Nourishes. Swipe, or do we Wrath? So Wrath, hero power takes care of it, or just Swipe by itself takes care of it. We already used Fandral. So I guess just Wrath Hero Power kills it. Unfortunately, we're just not drawing into our Jade Golem things. What is the most OP deck right now? Probably Aggro Pirate Shaman or Reno Warlock. Or combo Reno Warlock. Those would be my 2 bets of the strongest decks right now. These are some pretty unfortunate circumstances we're finding ourselves in continuously. There's our Nourish, a little off cue. Unfortunately, I think it's a bit too late because I believe we've already lost. Maybe not yet. It all depends if he has the burst from his hand or not. Because right now we're going to take 8 to the dome. So if he has like Fireball, Frostbolt, you better believe we're going down. But next turn looks pretty nice with the Gadgets Auctioneer Swipe or Gadgets Auctioneer Living Roots. See if we can draw into some other stuff. But unfortunately, we've already used our Innervates, which means we're not going to get any free mana, which is kind of rough. And normally I would combo the Jade Idol with the Auctioneer, but because of the situation that we're in, we kind of just want to put little creatures on the board so we can swing both these guys into the huge dragon that stands before us and kind of just hope that we don't die. Oh, okay. So he just had lethal, but he was BMing. This feels fucking terrible. Alright, guys. Well, this was kind of a, I don't think one of the best deck guides that we've ever made. But unfortunately, sometimes Hearthstone does this where you don't win them all, but I explained the deck where it needed to be explained. We understand the win condition, whether it gives us to us or not. We just happen to not draw into literally any of our creatures and only our low drop spells, which generated not a lot of value that game. But with that said, hopefully you've enjoyed. And I'll catch you in the next guide, of course, in the next episode. I'll see you then. I'm Warshack and happy whatever the hell day it is.